أهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من لقاء عمل في إكسبو. فعاليات إكسبو 2020 دبي أضحت قبلة العالم. اكتشف الجمهور في إكسبو دبي رحلة شيقة راق للزوار متابعة العروض الثقافية والفلكلورية المتميزة التي نقلت للعالم سمات وتفرد وخصوصية كل شعب وكل حضارة. يحرص كل بلد من خلال جناحه على إبراز مقوماته الطبيعية والسياحية والصناعية والمعمارية والتاريخية. في لقاء عملنا اليوم بإكسبو سنستمتع بزيارة جناح دوقية لوكسمبورغ، وسنتعرف على تجربة بلد أوروبي بديع الطبيعة فائق الجمال. سنجالس في لقاء عملنا اليوم كلا من السيد لويك بيرتولي المدير التنفيذي لمكتب لوكسمبورغ للتجارة والاستثمار بأبو ظبي، ودانيال سهر مدير معرض جناح لوكسمبورغ. لويك وصل وهو أمام الجناح. Loic, good morning.
Good morning, Nafia.
How are you? Thank you for coming from Abu Dhabi to our meeting at Expo today. Thank you.
Thank you for visiting our pavilion. Welcome.
Thank you so much. You know, Loic, when I did the research about the pavilion, I discovered that Luxembourg first is very selective in choosing which expo and which global, exhibition it want to participate in. And second, you were the first country that signed with Expo to participate in Expo Dubai. Why?
So thank you for this question. Indeed, we are not participating at every World Expo. We are not member of the International Bureau of Exposition. But according to the importance that we deem to the country organizing a World Expo and also to the theme or the subject, we decide to participate. So for Expo 2020 in Dubai, giving the theme, connecting mind, creating the future, and also the importance that we give to the UAE, it was for us very natural to decide to participate. And as you mentioned, we were the first one to decide and to sign and to bring our commitment to the UAE government.
And you brought a beautiful and big pavilion. Actually,
Thank you.
It's very big. And let me confess something. I came for the slide as well. I want to see the pavilion, but I want to try the slide as well. And the whole team, actually, they will try the slide. It's a beautiful idea to bring visitors to the pavilion and to see and discover Luxembourg.
The slide is not only a gimmick, it is really part of, or reminds you of a part of our culture. The director of the pavilion, Daniel Zah, will explain to you why exactly it is. But there is a historical meaning behind it, which is very interesting. So I'm not giving it now, spoiling it now.
I will ask him
but later.
Specifically about this. You know, Loic, a few also months ago, Luxembourg decided to give the pavilion to the UAE as a gift. Also is another gesture from the Luxembourg to UAE and to Dubai. What is the reason behind this?
There are several reasons. One is, of course, to keep our pavilion longer alive than the 6 months of the expo. A second one is also to show to the UAE and to the UAE population that we really want to stay, with a fixed and a long-lasting symbol of our country in the UAE. And the third one, of course, is to bring to the District 2020, so the legacy program after the expo, our contribution.
What Expo can bring opportunities for the investors and companies and firms from Luxembourg or to others in Expo Dubai? What are those opportunities from your point of view?
So what we try to show is, to mark Luxembourg as a hub, as a platform for your investment, your businesses, and your access to the European market through Luxembourg. Many people don't know, from the geographical point of view, but also from the political, economical, financial point of view, how important Luxembourg is in the middle of Europe. So this expo is for us really an opportunity to show to the world how to get into the European market through Luxembourg.
Luxembourg is, like you said, a small country, but as well it is less than a million in population, but you have a lot to offer. What is those opportunities that you offer and you want to showcase in Expo?
One important thing is that when people know about Luxembourg, it's mainly because of its financial center, which is very important. It's one of the largest in the world. It's the second largest in the world after the US when it comes to investment funds. But beside that, Luxembourg has many things to offer. We are going in the direction of being a technology-based economy, knowledge-based economy, and that's what we want to bring to the people here. You will find, new technologies and companies in many sectors, from health tech to space. We had last week a space mission or a space delegation with more than 37 companies dedicated to the space sector activities, and that's the kind of thing that we want to show and to attract people to.
Loic, how is the coordination between the private and the public sector in Luxembourg and their participation in this pavilion?
So the main driver of the participation is the government. So the main financing comes from the government. But this kind of project is impossible without the implication, also participation of the private sector. So the government has three main partners, namely the Chamber of Commerce, Post, which is our telecommunication company, and SES, the satellite company. And beside that, we have a lot of sponsors who are present in our pavilion. And with the Chamber of Commerce of Luxembourg, we have this program of trade missions with all the sectors, the main economic activities from Luxembourg coming and participating at Expo 2020.
Were they enthusiastic to participate and to bring the name of Luxembourg to the whole world in this Expo?
When you start this kind of project, you always ask yourself, what will be the resonance among the private sector? What will be their feedback or participation? It goes far beyond our expectations. As I told you, just for the space mission, we expected like a dozen of companies. We had 37 companies and more than 80 business people participating. For the ICT mission, which was the same time than GITEX, we had around 70 business people and 40 and something companies participating at this trade mission. So the interest is there. We also see more and more requests from Luxembourg companies about how to do business in the UAE, what are the opportunities, what are the partners, what is the potential. That goes through the embassy and the trade investment office.
I will ask you definitely about this inside, when we go inside for the restaurant. Tell me, what other events are you planning and other delegation are planning to come here to visit the Luxembourg Pavilion and of course to maybe do deals, cooperation and partnership with other pavilions?
So let me just go a little bit beyond just the economic or finance sector, because we have many other activities going on or coming up in the next months, from research and development, our university, our research center, for example, but also culture and sports. We're even planning at the end of March, before the closing of the Expo, a very interesting sport activity here at our pavilion and on the Expo site.
That's excellent. So it's really beyond economic. It's cultural, historical, folkloric, music. It's a lot of things. Would love to continue our chatting inside, and I know you have an amazing restaurant. It's called Schengen.
Let me invite you to have a look at our Schengen Lounge restaurant.
People don't know that the Schengen visa, as a name, is coming from a town in Luxembourg called Schengen.
Exactly.
So where is it exactly, this town?
So, many people just know Schengen because they have a small piece of Schengen in their passport, the famous Schengen visa.
Yeah.
So the signature of the Schengen agreement was done on a very symbolic way, because it was in the middle of the river between the three countries, France, Germany and Luxembourg. That being said, Schengen itself is a small village on the southeastern part of Luxembourg, in the vineyards where we produce wine. It's very nature and very beautiful part of Luxembourg.
Like all Luxembourg. It's all green, it's all beautiful with an amazing nature. We'll discover it inside. The restaurant is called Schengen, and you don't do things, half-half. You brought a Michelin star chef for this restaurant. I'm looking forward to go. Should we go?
Yes,
yes,
you're more than
please.
welcome.
Thank you, thank you. when I research for this, Luxembourg is Grand Duchy. So it's not a monarchy, it's not a principality. What is it?
It is. It's a Grand Duchy, as you just mentioned. So you did your research very well. Thank you for that. We are the only Grand Duchy in the world. So the head of state is the Grand Duke, and it's a constitutional or parliamentarian monarchy, meaning that the parliament has the legislative right.
You are different in so many ways, you know, and the Crown Prince was here.
Yes.
A few days ago.
So the son of our Grand Duke, so the future head of state, was visiting the UAE last week with the Minister of Tourism and Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises to promote Luxembourg. His task for the moment, before he becomes the Grand Duke, is to lead the trade, economic and financial missions to the world. For us, it's an amazing opportunity because it's amazing what we call door opener, and helps us to establish relations at the highest level. So we are very grateful to have a Crown Prince that dedicated to help us.
You know, Loic, you make me more and more want to discover and see what is Luxembourg and try the food also. Let's go. And hopefully it will get better than we can use those chairs and tables. And
so we are starting to have a very lively terrace in the evening. People visiting the expo really enjoy in the night the terrace, which is so lovely lighted. You know, the lights, the light show from all the pavilion around give a very fantastic feeling on our terrace.
Oh, okay. Beautiful restaurant.
Welcome to our Schengen Lounge.
Thank you, Schengen Lounge. That is nice setting. Oh, they did a good. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Loic. Very nice of you. And so we are here. It's a beautiful restaurant, actually. I like the vibe of the restaurant and the theme of it. It's in grey, but it's beautiful.
So it is supposed to give you a little bit also of the feeling that you have when you stroll around the vineyards in Luxembourg. That's why we have this mural, which gives you the colors and also the feeling of what the Schengen area or the vineyard areas in Luxembourg is. It's the eastern part of Luxembourg.
I like how they put coffee as well. That is so thoughtful of them, and we need it. Loic, you've been heading the Luxembourg Investment and Trade in Abu Dhabi since 2016. What is its role exactly?
So the Luxembourg Trade Investment Office is part of the network of the Ministry of the Economy, and the missions is twofolded. One side is to help Luxembourg companies to develop their activities in the country of accreditation, here namely in the UAE. So we help Luxembourg companies to find projects, business opportunities, to find also the right contacts, partners, maybe even suppliers, distributors and so on, and to inform them about any kind of information that they would need about the UAE legal point of view, financial point of view, economic point of view, and so on. So that's one part of the job. The other part is to attract businesses, projects, investors, companies from the UAE to Luxembourg, to make Luxembourg attractive for new business opportunities for foreign companies. How
many companies from Luxembourg are settled already in UAE?
So if you look at the number, the sheer number, then you might think it's not much.
Okay.
It is around 30. But what is really interesting to see is that in the last 12 months, despite the pandemic, despite COVID, we have an increase from around 20 to around 30 companies. So more than 9 companies in the last 12 months set up their presence in the UAE, a physical presence, opening an office, opening a production site, opening a representation. So that's the interesting part.
Which area of sectors are they actually working and active in?
Oh, it's very broad. It goes from logistics to construction, but also more technology companies in the space, health technologies, consulting, finance. So it's very broad, a little bit like our economy. So a broad economy, many different sectors that we can
You definitely facilitate them to settle down here, and of course you kept contact definitely with those companies. What do they tell you about the environment of work and investment here in UAE and in Dubai?
Again, that's a very interesting question, because during the pandemic we literally took contact with every single company in Luxembourg company in the UAE to ask them what is the situation, what kind of support do you need from our side, and also to feel a little bit their pulse. What are the expectations for the coming months during the pandemic, and what were their fear or you know, challenges. So not one had replied that they wanted to scale down or even leave the UAE, not one. They're all looking forward, you know, they knew that there would be an after pandemic, and they were preparing for that. So when now I'm talking to the companies, they are all telling me that it's an amazing market, not only the UAE market, but from the UAE you reach out to so many different regions where the UAE are very have a knowledge and expertise to deal with. So African countries, but also Central Asian countries, and of course the whole Southeast Asia region.
I can say that you share this as a trade with UAE. UAE and Dubai is a hub. It's in the middle, like you said, Africa, Middle and South Asia, and it is 8 hours from all over the world, almost. But also, Luxembourg is the same.
Exactly, that's what I was telling you before. The second part of our mission is to attract companies, projects, investors to Luxembourg, not necessarily for the Luxembourg market itself, because it's small country, small market, but from Luxembourg you have access to the European market, which is around 500 million of potential customers.
Yes.
So that's the interesting point for a foreign company to set up in Luxembourg, to see Luxembourg as a hub, as a platform to reach all the countries of the European Union.
Is it possible also to open an investment in Luxembourg that is more in not only finance and not only consultancy, but in other activities that require a lot of people?
So the strategy, the Luxembourg strategy, or the strategy of the Luxembourg government is to attract companies in technology. So that's the main focus. When I say technology, it is very broad. It goes from AI, artificial intelligence, big data, to space. You know that we have a space strategy.
Yes.
We were the second country after the US to have a space law on commercial activities. That's where we want now to attract companies. To be honest and blunt, big industrial production, we will not attract them to Luxembourg anymore. We are too expensive, the land is too expensive, and also the regulations, you know, European regulations, European standards, make it quite difficult to set up in Luxembourg.
But you know what you want. What are kind of investment that you facilitate to bring back to Luxembourg?
Exactly.
It's
so
clear.
as I said, it's really technology based, innovation, a very important part. So I'm not only here to attract companies, but I'm also here to attract new ideas, new technologies, new concepts. That's also part of the Trade Investment Office.
And you have like activities, something in the pavilion made in Luxembourg. Do you want to promote it? Do you want to show that you have many things made in Luxembourg?
That was the idea of an exhibition. It was a temporary exhibition showcasing the many different aspects of what is manufactured and produced in Luxembourg. It goes from solar panel robot, so it's a very sophisticated robot cleaning solar panels, to jewelry. So the manufacturing of you know, niche products in Luxembourg is quite developed, and that's what we wanted to showcase with this exhibition. Luxembourg is not only a street with banks, but Luxembourg is also producing high quality, high value products in very different sectors.
Amazing. How do you evaluate the relationship between the two countries, Luxembourg and UAE?
Just to give you an information, we are celebrating in 10 days, or not in, sorry, in 5 days, the 10-year opening of our embassy. But the relations go back to the 80s, diplomatic relations. So the UAE, our main and most strategic partner in the region, On the political point of view, you know, the two families, I mean the Grand Duke family, but also the Sheikh family here in the UAE are close. We have a lot and diversified relations on the political point of view, economic point of view, finance point of view, now cultural point of view, as I said, even sport, research and development. So the relations are manifold and goes on or based on a very strong mutual respect and also trust.
UAE is the first trading partner of Luxembourg, first Arabic actually. It's 30% of the global trade. What made this number important, and what are the sectors in general?
Let me just go back a little bit in time. So in 2004, 2005, when we defined our strategy, export strategy or foreign trade promotion strategy, we, as a small country, could not, you know, look at the whole world. So we choose our regions and our countries very, you know, selectively. And the Gulf region was, of course, one of the main, you know, region with one major economic development. And in this region, we defined that the UAE were the most interesting country. So since 2004, 2005, we have developed this strategy of promoting our export to the UAE. So it's a government support, but also with the stakeholders like Chamber of Commerce of Luxembourg. And on the other side, also very interesting to attract companies, investments, new projects from the UAE to Luxembourg. So it goes back more than 15 years. It's not, you know, the result of some luck or some, you know, opportunistic approach. No, it's a long-term strategy. You
lived here since 2016, but you moved around, right? I think you lived in Malaysia before,
in China, Beijing before coming here, yeah.
And many other countries. When you settle, what do you find in UAE, as the lifestyle of UAE is completely different from other countries? How do you find it?
The UAE, the quality of life in the UAE is one of the highest in the world, for sure. From the security to the weather, the hospitality, the multicultural aspect. You have 90% of the population are foreigners. So this melting pot makes it very interesting. For my personal side, I like the weather. I really like the weather. So that's also a plus. And when my post was prolonged by 1 year because of the postponement of the expo, for me it was a blessing. It means one more year in the UAE.
Wish you to stay long time here in UAE. Loic, you have this sharing, you shared this common aspect with Luxembourg and UAE diversity. How many languages you speak?
Myself?
Yeah, 5 languages.
Yes.
But this is common for Luxembourgian, right?
Yeah.
You always have to speak 3 to 4 languages, basic.
Exactly.
Which are languages?
So we are a small country, and being surrounded by big countries, and in the world, we could not manage to convince the 7 billions of people to speak Luxembourgish. So we had to adapt, and we speak the languages of the neighboring countries.
So
mandatory from school is German, French, English.
Yeah.
Luxembourgish as its own language, and then because we have so many people from different backgrounds, Portuguese, Italian, but also more and more Russians, from Arabic countries, Chinese. So you will find many people who speak at least 5 languages, if not 6 or even 7.
What is the Luxembourgian or Luxembourgish language? Sorry, I butchered.
So you take a blender, yeah. You take the German grammar,
okay.
You take the Flemish sounds, and you take the French words for all the new technology or modern words, you shake it, and then you have Luxembourgish.
Amazing. That is really diverse and different, and that's what makes the richness of Luxembourg. Besides, of course, those pictures that I can see here, beautiful. The grapes, the greenery. It is the 2nd greenest country in the world, Luxembourg.
It's very green. When Emirati friends come to Luxembourg, yeah. They're always amazed. Whatever season of the year they come, except winter when it's snowy, to find so many different green, but also green tones. It goes from dark green to very light green. And people who are more used to desert and the sandy colors are always amazed to see that different, that many diversity of green colors.
We'd love to visit one day, definitely.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Loic, we are here in this restaurant called Schengen Restaurant. And as I said before, you didn't make things half and half. You brought a Michelin star chef. He is from Luxembourg as well. His name is Kevin. And I would love to try what he is giving us. I think he will give us some dessert.
So we prepared for your visit. We prepared a café gourmand, which is a coffee accompanied by some sweets that are really typical from Luxembourg.
I'm really looking forward to what Kim prepared for us. I have a sweet tooth and I like any delicious thing prepared, and Kim is here.
Hi, Kim.
Hello, hello.
Thank you so much for coming, especially for this earlier today. You will have a long day. I'm so sorry about this.
No worries. I would do it again every day.
Thank you very much. Please, take a seat with us. Kim, you are so young to be a Michelin star. How did you do it?
A lot of passion and hard work.
Yeah?
So it's all about passion. It's about what I love. So
amazing.
I worked a lot for it. And
where were you before coming to Dubai?
I was in Singapore, so I was actually stationed in Singapore for 5 years.
Yeah?
Nearly 6, where I was head chef of Michelin-starred restaurant.
Excellent.
And yeah, it was a nice time.
Do you think settling here in Dubai?
I'm thinking about maybe settling in Luxembourg after this, so going back home,
Yeah, why not? Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great experience, actually. Amazing. Tell us, what is the cuisine of Luxembourg? You are a very rich and diverse nation. So what is the cuisine?
So it's a very rich and diverse cuisine.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very wholesome cuisine. So it's a lot about, because it's people that used to work very hard, so it's very wholesome food. And actually here in Schengen Lounge, we do that wholesome food, but with a bit of a modern twist to lighten it up, to make it more interesting, and to fit it into the Dubai food scene. Yeah. So we have, for example, our most traditional dish, which is kniddelen. Traditionally, it's served with bacon, so fried bacon. You add the kniddelen, and then you just add cream. So it's very heavy. It's tasty. It's very, very tasty, but very heavy. So for here, we changed that due to the fact that I can't use pork in the food. We changed the bacon with smoked duck.
Okay.
So it's a bit more refined. And then, as duck with cream doesn't really work, we replace the cream with a 48-hour cooked duck jus. So it's very aromatic, very strong, and it's a bit refined.
You see, this is why he's a Michelin star. He finds everything artistically, and it is perfect for every culture. Amazing. Kim, what do we have today?
So here we have our café gourmand. So it's pretty much a discovery of Luxembourgish desserts. So you start on the top right, you have a honey crème brûlée.
Yeah.
So honey, there's a lot of honey in Luxembourg, that's why a honey crème brûlée, which we finished off with a touch of fleur de sel to make it a bit more special. Then on the left of that, we have our modern plum tart. So a plum tart, which is Quetschen tart in Luxembourgish. This one is a bit changed. At the bottom, we have a frangipan with rosemary inside.
Wow.
And then the plums are semi-dehydrated with rosemary sugar as well, so it's a bit more tasty and tasty. Then we have a small chocolate truffle.
The chocolate truffle, yes.
And then the last one is our vervoerelter. So vervoerelter pretty much means a knot. So it's a dough. It's a dough that is formed to a knot and then deep fried. And as all fried foods, is very tasty.
Of course. Tell me again the name. I want to try to...
Vervoerelter. Vervoerelter.
Vervoerelter. Okay.
Nice. So we have 2 words of dishes. Vervoerelter is one. Grompa Kishelcha is another Luxembourg specialty about with potatoes.
Yeah.
If you can say the 2 words properly, it's the access to the Luxembourg residency.
Okay. Vervoerelter is one. What is the other one?
Grompa Kishelcha.
Grompa Kishelcha.
Nice.
Okay. Do I have my access?
We will invite you any day, any time to Luxembourg for sure.
Thank you so much. I want to dig in and try, and I will start with the crème brûlée.
Bon appétit.
Merci, merci beaucoup. Kim, is this small thing is salt?
It's salt, yes.
Really?
It's fleur de sel, sea salt, just to give it a nice contrast with the sweetness of the honey.
Okay.
My absolute favorite is the plum tart.
I think No, not I think. I'm sure this is the best creme brulee I ever ate. I'm sure about this. Very delicious. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This combination of sweet and the salt, it's magic. The plum, but you spoiled us today, Kim. So what should I try first? What do you think?
I think the plum tart you got to try.
Let's go to the plum, the favorite of Loïc.
You'll find out why it's his favorite.
Wow. Normally, the tart are done with, you know, raspberry, strawberry, but plum, this is the first time I try it, and they're missing out outside the word, not putting in a cake and a tart, the plum. Very delicious. Now come to the fry. Okay. I think this is what we can eat morning, afternoon,
dinner,
night, dinner.
evening.
Very delicious.
But we serve them as well, just those in a bowl. So.
Really? Wow. For a fried thing, it's not too heavy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a secret about it.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell us, right? Okay.
Some things gotta stay secret. Right?
Team 7, thank you. Thank you for coming early for this. Thank you for being with us. Loïc, I enjoyed our chatting today. And also thank you for coming from Abu Dhabi for this interview. You know who's waiting for me for the tour? Danielle. And I will tell him, you kept me here late for him. So you will defend me, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
This is the delicious food that kept me here. And I'm late for Danielle, so thank you so much. I have to go. Please stay and finish your tart and all the delicious thing, and your discussion with Kim Kevin as well.
Thank you for coming, visiting our pavilion. You're more than welcome to come anytime back.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi Danielle, how are you?
Good morning.
I'm sorry to keeping you waiting. I was with Loïc and
No
the
problem.
chef Kim Kevin, and they kept me from coming because it was very delicious what he gave us as the delicacy of Luxembourg. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful restaurant, Schengen Lounge, really beautiful.
I totally understand that you got stuck.
Yeah, it was amazing. I can see there are a lot of school boy students here, and they are exciting, and I can see the excitement, and I'm sure it's because of the slide.
Definitely because of the slides.
I am excited too because
I hope so.
let's go start our journey here. Tell me, it's a beautiful architecture. It's very big. What does it represent?
Well, if you look at it, it is a design which was developed by the Luxembourg architect studio Metaform, and it symbolizes actually infinity. The mathematical structure which has been used to design the building is actually a Möbius ribbon. So it is a form which has only one side and one edge continuously looping. And on the other side, the building itself represents also the three attributes which are so close to Luxembourg's nation branding. Meaning, first of all, Luxembourg is an open country. We are a dynamic nation. And last but not least, we are also a very reliable partner.
Yes, you are.
And then if you look at the fabric which was used.
Yeah, it's not, you know, beton or it's not anything that is heavy. What is it?
So it is actually a membrane, a Teflon membrane which was used. And it was actually inspired by the fabric which was used back in time in order to build Bedouin tents.
Okay.
So you see there is a little of a relation.
Okay.
to think about the original resources we had in order to build our houses, for example.
Yes.
And to be inspired by...
And to link it to UAE and of course, population of this area back in the days. You have a theme, Resource for Luxembourg.
Yes.
Why?
Well, first of all, the building on the other side is also a call to future generations to think about how to make use of our resources. We in Luxembourg thought that it is very interesting to highlight actually in this pavilion 5 resources which we truly believe that are unique for Luxembourg.
Okay.
So resources you do not immediately think about as a resource, but we consider them truly as something where we can build on. So the first one will be diversity. The second one will be connectivity. The third one, sustainability. The fourth one, our entrepreneurial spirit, so enterprising. And last but not least, the beauty of our nature.
You know, Daniel, this is what I was talking with Loïc about it. He speaks 4 languages. Pauline, who is the Chief of Communication, speaks 8 languages. It's a very diverse and rich nation, actually, what you have. And this is what you are showing.
This is exactly what we wanted to show. And also what we needed, again, to have a little bit in common with the UAE, you know. We are home to 170 nationalities living peacefully together, which is a true resource. Also, if you want to build your economy, if you want to be connected to the world.
Yeah, it's really, like you said, a lot of common ground with UAE. I think the diversity, the culture, the tolerance that you have, the multinational that they live in Luxembourg, we find it here. You feel home? Here?
Here,
yes.
Of course.
So we come now to the second one that you told us, smart and innovation. What's the showcase of Luxembourg in this pavilion?
If we are talking about people, you need to connect people also together. So what we are trying to highlight in this section is actually Luxembourg as an ideal testbed to connect people together in order to build new things.
Through innovation, through technology.
Exactly.
And that is one of the strengths of Luxembourg, I
Definitely.
think, is the technology and the innovation. Of course, space. We talked about it with Loïc. This is beautiful.
And then you mustn't forget that if we are talking about connectivity, we need to talk about data, which is the oil of the future,
yes.
I would say. And Luxembourg has a very long history and a strong heritage when it comes to data, to securing data. Luxembourg is, for example, also home to the world's first data embassy. So where we have granted territorial rights in a data center to another country.
The first one was in Luxembourg.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that is really interesting.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome to Luxembourg. You know, what caught me also is that Luxembourg is a financial hub. Dubai also is a financial hub. How do you relate to this?
Well, first of all, if we are talking about the theme connectivity, we are also talking about the fact that we are connecting investors with each other, that we are financing economies. And Luxembourg has definitely a very important role in the world. By the way, we are using the theme of financial future, talking about the next section of our pavilion, which is sustainability.
Sustainability is a topic that is very important to UAE and Luxembourg. The approach is interesting. You are using sustainable finance to talk about sustainability. Exactly. What is this approach?
Well, first of all, we just came from Luxembourg's positioning as a hub for finance, where we are linking capital markets, where we are linking investors. Luxembourg truly believes that the future of finance is sustainable finance, is green finance. And for this reason, we are jumping into the sustainability section of our pavilion.
Amazing.
We are also highlighting here the Sustainable Development Goals, which have been developed by numerous countries and by the UN. And we are taking concrete actions or highlighting concrete actions are contributing to achieving these goals.
Amazing. Ocean cleanup, reforestation, the biofuel. It's a lot of amazing showcase and initiative that the whole world needs actually now.
Exactly. And then on the other hand, in the sustainability section, we are also highlighting Luxembourg's true commitment towards international cooperation via development aid, for example. Luxembourg is one of the very few countries who are giving 1% of its GDP towards development cooperation.
Amazing.
And if you look deeper into the projects, the topics we are looking for, it is actually very much in line also with the international cooperation by the United Arab Emirates.
True. You are really connected in so many ways, and mainly also through those important topics that you share. You share the challenges that the world is facing. You are trying both to find solution together and not together, but you are very complementary efforts.
Absolutely. And talking about this, for example, we are highlighting here a public-private partnership which is called emergency.lu. Just imagine a natural disaster, a typhoon in the Philippines or an earthquake in Nepal, where connectivity is completely down.
Yeah.
I mean, this kit is dispatched within 24 hours into the region, and we re-establish communication, which is quintessential to know what's going on the ground and to secure also the first aid which is needed in those cases.
Wonderful. Daniel, tell me, it's such a small country in European continent, and yet you give 1% of the GDP to help the other country. You are finding all the aid and solution in during disaster in other continent. Why it is from the values of Luxembourg to go to help others anywhere in the world?
Because we truly believe that our footprint, even if we are a small nation, must be much bigger on a worldwide scale. And if we are now jumping into the next section, you will be even more surprised, because you will see truly what size actually Luxembourg matters in different areas.
Amazing. I'm guessing that we arrived to the movie part.
Exactly.
So what is the movie?
So the movie is actually talking about the different opportunities Luxembourg seized over the course of its existence, and how we were facing challenges, but again, the opportunities we seized in order to reinvent ourselves on a continuous basis.
I would love to watch it.
Yes, please.
Let's sit. Oh, I love those chairs. Very fun.
from Luxembourg.
So you participated in building the tallest building in the whole world now.
Exactly.
Amazing.
We are part of it.
You are part of it. You're part of the history. I love it.
And again, it also shows a connection we have with the UAE. So now it's a surprise, but maybe you are already aware about the surprise.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I can see the slide, finally. I don't know if they told you, but I called Pauline, the communication, who is in charge with communication. I told her, you know, I'm coming for the slide. I'm so sorry about this.
But you came for much more than
definitely.
just the
I
slide.
Discovered much more.
Even though the slide is definitely the highlight.
It's the highlight of the pavilion. It's an amazing, actually, idea. Tell me why you have a slide inside the pavilion.
Well, the slide is actually inspired by a very old traditional fair we organize on a yearly basis in Luxembourg. It exists for almost 700 years.
Wow.
And we keep on organizing it. Unfortunately, also now due to the pandemic, it was not happening.
You will go back to it.
But we will get back to it
I love
very
this.
soon.
This is an image of
the capital
of Luxembourg,
which is actually also Luxembourg city.
Yes.
And as you can see, it is a very green country. It is deeply rooted into the forests, as Luxembourg country is made up of 70% of forests.
It is the second greenest country in the world.
Yes,
amazing.
Exactly.
You know what I love about this picture? How it is a combination of modern city, the forest, and the old city. I love old cities in the towns or somewhere when I go, and especially you have them a lot in Europe, the old cities.
The old cities,
amazing.
exactly.
I love those houses. So how can we go now to the slide?
The journey either goes to the slide, and we can have a deep dive also in some tourist attractions of Luxembourg, or you just walk down the staircase, but
definitely
at least
I'm not
you should
going
always
to the staircases, Danielle, I'm sorry. I will take
you have to take the slide.
The slide. I love this. Those are implantation in the walls. They are very nice, going until down there, beautiful. It's a very green pavilion, and it showcases the beauty of Luxembourg.
Yeah, and again, what I said about the forest. So we have the forest you see on the walls in a descriptive way, in a very stylistic, way. And even if you take out your mobile phone and you look through your mobile phone, you see that it is in a way augmented reality, because you see the depths of the wood.
I love this idea. I didn't see it before. When I see it with my eye, it's completely different than when I put the camera of the iPhone. It's very good. And Danielle, it's time for the slide. How about I go up and you wait for me down, and I will come very fast.
That's a deal.
It's a deal. So you go from here, I will go from there. Okay? Thank you. It took me a while to stop laughing. Thank you for this laugh. I needed it, Danielle, and
pleasure.
It's amazing. Tell me, what is the legacy that you want to leave here in UAE through this expo with this pavilion?
Well, first of all, the theme Resourceful Luxembourg, that we have tremendous resources we should take care of.
Yes!
And that...
Yes!
that despite all the seriousness we need and the serious and sad situation we were in over the last years, life is fun.
Life is fun. Look at this. I love this. Hi, I'm so sorry. شكرا لكم مشاهدينا على المتابعة. الأسبوع القادم بإذن الله جناح آخر وضيوف كرام آخرين ينضمون إلينا في برنامج لقاء عمل في إكسبو. دانيال, I want to go back up and then I want to do the slide again. Can I do that?
You can try as many times as you want.
Thank you. Let's go.